Hello. Hey guys. So welcome to my second ever live here. Haven't prepared anything, just wanted to riff a bit, gist as my Nigerian friends say. I wanted to give you guys an update on my HRT journey and how it's going. And I made a video about my HRT and perimenopause journey a few weeks ago. It was actually my first live, so this is the update around that. And guys, just to give some context, I am still cycling monthly. I'm 47 years old, and I believe, given the symptoms, I have been in peri at least 2 years. And I only started HRT in April, the end of April this year. And again, to give some context, that was after I had tried all the holistic remedies, black cohosh, evening primrose oil, Vitex, yam cream, all the stuff. And besides from that, I was already lifting heavy weights. I had changed cardio to walking, i.e. heavy cardio like HIIT, Tabata, to walking to reduce cortisol. And nothing was helping. I then had the experience of starting the HRT, and I gotta tell you, when I started to take the estradiol gel, within a couple of days, I kind of felt a light come on in my brain. I can't really tell you why and how, but it just felt like a light came on in my brain. And I slept way better because for the last 2 weeks of my cycle, so the luteal phase, I took 200 milligrams of utrogesterone, that's bioidentical progesterone, and I slept way better. So everything was good for about 3 months, except that they told me to take 4 pumps of the gel. And even on 1 pump, I felt it was too much. Now, I am a medical intuitive. I also work with energy. I'm an energy healer. I do all kinds of psychic stuff. And I intuitively knew that 4 pumps was going to be way too much. But the specialists, i.e. the doctors, say, no, you have to go up to 2 pumps and gradually increase it because you need to balance your progesterone and estrogen. So here I am, I go up to 2 pumps, and that started to give me migraines. And I haven't had migraines since I was a teenager. So I knew inherently that that was not the right dosing for me. So I went back to 1 pump daily of the estradiol gel. Fast forward to 6 months, and for the first time in my life ever, I had a 2-week period. And I was like, this definitely means that there is something wrong. So I decided to go off, totally off all the HRT. And as soon as I stopped, the bleeding stopped. So that was October. We are now in December. So it's been 2 clear months that I haven't been taking the HRT. How do I feel? Actually, my cycles have gone back to being quite light, which is how they were before the HRT. I don't have headaches anymore, but do I have brain fog? Yep. Am I getting pain on the arch of my foot? Right there, which is where I started with the pain. Yep. Still got that pain. That came back after the hormones, after not taking the hormones. But I have decided to stick with it, and I'm going to give you some background as to why, which is why I'm doing this update video. You also remember that I was taking probably 30 supplements, you know, between zinc and magnesium glycinate and fish oils and vitamin D, all kinds of stuff. I then went to my endocrinologist for a checkup. As you also know, I was microdosing GLP-1s in order to help with insulin resistance. And weight gain after double miscarriages. And the GLP-1s definitely helped, but I did notice that I was losing a lot of hair and my eyesight got worse. Now, I can't tell you if that's the GLP-1s or if it's just being 47 years old. So I want to put that as a disclaimer. I didn't have any other symptoms with the GLP-1s. I thought they were fantastic, but it's also because I was eating high protein and I was lifting weights. And honestly, that's what you're supposed to do if you're taking GLP-1s in order not to lose muscle mass. I'm also not the kind of person who just stopped eating. I was always eating. And after a while, I noticed that the inflammation markers on my blood reports were way lower. So it does help inflammation. It does help insulin sensitivity, which a lot of women get post 40. Not all, but it definitely helps. So I am not here to badmouth GLP-1s because I have used them and they were good for me. I can't say I will never use them again because they helped me. And I'm not on it long term, but I reserve the right to go back on if I feel like I'm falling into insulin resistance. Now let's go and fast forward onto the latest endocrinologist report and what he told me. The reason I wanted to go was because my thyroid, and a lot of women will maybe notice that their thyroid might be acting up in perimenopause. Mine has actually been subclinical hypothyroid for about 20 years. But I have never taken any medication for it. I've tried all the holistic treatments. I also add iodine drops to my morning routine. So honestly, I'm also a holistic therapist, so I know usually how to eat properly and how to supplement. And despite all of that, my thyroid is still subclinical. And you might be able to get away with that in your 20s, 30s, but coming close to 50, I'm 47, my thyroid is really struggling on the hypo side, which means that it's really struggling to keep up with my hormonal functions. Your thyroid is one of the master glands to regulate hormones. And if your thyroid is out of whack, and for me, hypo, which means it's working extra hard to convert T4 to T3, which is the active form of the hormone that you need to have a well-functioning thyroid. And if you want to look at your markers on a lab report, that would mean that your TSH is a bit elevated, which means your body is working overtime to convert T4 to T3, and it's not optimal conversion. So that slows down a whole range of other functions. So you will get hair falling out. You will get tired very easily. You will feel foggy and depressed. You will have super dry skin. And no matter what you do, you'll be dry, scaly, tired. Now, a lot of women might feel this anyway in perimenopause, but having a suboptimal thyroid doesn't make it easier. You put onto that hormones like estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, basically having a party, and you're gonna feel pretty crap. I also tested all these hormones, so all the sex hormones, and of course they were low. But according now to my endocrinologist, the guy's like, oh, you're barely in perimenopause and you're still fertile, you're still ovulating, which is probably why when you took the HRT, your body kind of wanted to reject it because you're in very early menopause. Well, my FSH was high, which means that when your FSH is high and you're like my age, 47, it means there's a high likelihood that you're in perimenopause. You might still be ovulating, you might still be cycling like me every month, but your estrogen flow is going to be very up and down. And so what did this doctor advise me? He's like, well, go off HRT for a while, see how you go. And actually, I like that advice because this is not a doctor who's just pumping medicine into you for the sake of it. And I intuitively felt that I had to go off HRT for a while because honestly, I don't want to have 2-week-long periods. I don't want to feel bloated all the time. I don't want to have migraines. So maybe for me, it's not the right time. I'm not saying I won't try HRT again because I know that it can help women. Estrogen supplementation can help women with osteoporosis and also brain fog and also dementia later on in life. So I'm not someone who is anti-HRT. You have to, however, know when is the right time to take it. And for me personally, it was not the right time. I have therefore gone off HRT after being on it for 6 months. And I'm gonna see how I go. I've also reduced a lot of the supplements that I was taking because, and this is where I have to admit that I use a ChatGPT because I just felt like taking 30 supplements was a lot and it was taxing my system. And especially when I went down the rabbit hole researching thyroid function, subclinical thyroid. And by the way, guys, a lot of the doctors don't know about this. If you're taking a lot of supplements, it's possible that you're actually taxing your body so that in addition to your thyroid having to work extra hard to make hormones, it's also working extra hard to assimilate all these extra supplements. So I've reduced the supplements down to a bare minimum, just taking a drop of iodine from 3 drops. I've gone down. Apparently it's activating. And I have cut a lot of the lion's mane, a lot of the mushrooms that I was taking. And I want to also get into very quickly why I was taking a lot of amino acids and mushrooms. And it's because I have now fallen into the ADHD rabbit hole. Yes. If any of you are in the same rabbit hole, please let me know. But I have found out that a lot of the symptoms that I've had my entire life, and this is thanks to TikTok actually. I didn't even know that this was something. But there is such a thing as undiagnosed ADHD in perimenopausal women. And I asked the doctor about this. And he's like, yeah, it's like an epidemic now. And honestly, it's overdiagnosed, at least in the UK. However, when I started to talk about my life and some of the symptoms, which I have, the guy's like, yeah, maybe you should go in to speak to a therapist, because I've never spoken to a therapist my entire life. I actually am a therapist. And I've never actually spoken to a therapist. So I am now trying to ascertain if I should get the ADHD diagnosis. I don't want to get medicated because if I've lasted 47 years, I don't really want to start now. But I believe it's important, and this is why. If you have undiagnosed ADHD as a woman, especially in perimenopause, it makes these symptoms so much worse because there's a big link between a drop in estrogen and its effect on dopamine levels. And obviously ADHD and dopamine, there's a high correlation. But the reason I really wanted to find out what's happening is because after being able to push myself to be a straight A student, to do every single course at school, extracurricular activities, Model United Nations, push my way through investment banking for 10 years, multiple careers in different countries, I realized I'm no longer able to push myself. And no matter what, I'm not able to push myself anymore. And the career that I've had for 7 years, which is being a therapist, a psychic, human design reader, astrologer, medical intuitive, I have lost interest in that. Not in actually helping people, because I love doing that. And actually that gave me more energy than anything. But it's all the marketing and the BS around it and like the courses and the constant launching, and it just really drained me. So it's not the actual helping people that drain me, it's the BS marketing and the social media and the algos and like the freaking reels and dancing around and looking freaking fake that I don't identify that anymore. So I decided to stop advertising that that's what I do. And if any of you have ADHD, you know that we usually need a focus to feel that we can go on, have purpose in life. And I'm used to having purpose in life. And I suddenly feel like for the last 2 years, especially with the start of the Gaza war and going through my decolonial journey, things don't turn me on anymore. I can't deal with bullshit. I can't deal with fake. I guess I don't have the hormones to mask anymore and to try to put up with stuff that I just think is vile. Apparently it's also an ADHD thing to not be able to deal with injustices, and I've always been like that. I've always wanted to stand up for people who can't speak for themselves in any way. And I've always had a problem with authority. Maybe that's most of the world, but it's also why I clashed with bosses. It's also why I couldn't stay in corporate jobs. It's also why I work for myself, because I usually see things and patterns that my bosses couldn't see. And then when I left, I then heard from my former colleagues that actually everything I said actually worked out, and they got rid of certain people and changed systems, which is what I had told them when I was there, but they just thought I was being a troublemaker. So this is for all the ADHD non-diagnosed troublemakers of the world, where you just see things other people don't, like light years ahead. I feel you. So as I wrap up my second live of all time on TikTok, because I'm shadow banned on Instagram, I wanted to share with you that I'm going to do more lives straight off the cuff about things that interest me, because that's how my apparently ADHD brain works. And I can't script a lot because I don't stick to scripts. And I'm currently hormonal because I'm in perimenopause. And I'm just here to share an authentic journey, because honestly, I can't mask anymore. I don't have the hormones to do it. So if this has meant anything to you, leave me a comment. If you're on your ADHD journey, drop me a comment. Did it help you to get diagnosed? Drop me a comment. What did you do after you got the diagnosis? Did it make your life better? Did you take meds? Did you stop taking meds? I'm really interested. I really want to hear from you guys, and I'll share what I come up with as we go.